see my Saturday pajamas that I bought especially for the occasion? You can see them.
Oh my God.
Ghost.
That is so cute.
They're ghost themed.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Oh, well, this is because the pajamas ruined every pair. And I was like, I can't go in public with these pajamas.
They'll think holes.
Oh my God, in the leg. But they're so expensive. And I was like, no, you can't justify. Like, one's got a knee missing, one's got like the back of the thigh missing. And
it's just like, all jam related.
All jam related.
They are
so annoying. It's so annoying, isn't it? So I was like, look, go to Asda. I was just fairly cheap. And I was like, just see what's around. And then they had all the beautiful ones. And I was like, nope, you can't spend 25, 30, 40 quid on some pajamas because they won't last long. So I've gone for cheap but themed. So,
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, there's still time. Maybe I'll try to join you. But in all likelihood, I'll be turning up with a mismatched dog eaten.
Right, let's do this.
Yes, shall we? So, good morning, Vicky.
Good morning, Cara. Sure. It is morning. It's very rare recording in the morning. I quite like it. Like how good our skin looks.
Oh, I saw myself briefly and thought, no,
stop it.
I look so tired. I'm wide awake, I promise you. It's just my face. Right. So, today, we've got something a little bit different, which I hope you will indulge me with. So, my mom and I were talking, and she was telling me this story about one of our family members who, I'm going to say it nicely, was not very progressive in her outlook. But my mom and this family member were looking at some machinery, some device or another, and it was just one of these things that was perfectly suited to its task. It was super simple, really elegant. And this family member said to my mom, that must have been invented by a woman. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. So it kind of like got some cogs turning in my head. And I thought we'd go for something a little different. And instead of a deep dive into one lady, I thought we would take a little bit of inspiration from you and Simon talking about lovely Bessie Blount or Grace Hopper. And I've written down, those are the 6th and the 21st episodes. So if Inventors are your thing, check them out. But today we're going to go on a little whistle-stop tour of some of the ways that the world is better thanks to women inventors.
I'm so excited.
Yes. Something different. I thought we would also have a little look at some of the inventions that have made life easier for women. So a little bit from both sides. The sources for today are the National Inventors Hall of Fame website, the blog A Mighty Girl, which everyone does and should know.
It's a really good blog, isn't it? Yeah.
It's really upbeat and super, super. The National Women's History Museum and Silence Daily magazine websites, the Weizmann Institute of Science, and the AMA Journal of Ethics. I found myself dipping into that. Why not? After putting you through your paces in Merriam Mirzakhani, there are not many quotes today. So in the spirit of your week off, you'll get the odd bit, but it's not going to be like a 6-page quote about
but I'm going to learn
crazy
so much.
hyperbolic geometry. So our first stop today is the humble but valuable windshield wiper. And
this lady's on my list. Because it's just, of course we needed a windscreen wiper.
I know. This is
crazy.
These stories, because these women's lives weren't especially well documented in most cases, unlike Bessie Blount or Grace Hopper, these are just like a little peek, a little window into their world. So I struggled to find a full episode about any one of them. And I thought this was a way to grab them all, scoop them all up and bring them all in. So you will know then that the lady in question is named Mary Anderson. Yes. And this is as recently as 1902. Cars were becoming more common, and Mary Anderson, riding along in a streetcar in the city in a snowstorm, noticed that the driver was having to literally reach his arm out the window, lean his whole body out at times, and scoop the sleet and snow away to allow him to drive safely. So everyone in the streetcar was freezing. He was freezing and wet, and it wasn't especially effective. And so, seeing more and more cars on the road, she realized that this problem was pretty universal, and she got to work. She knew that she needed some specialist knowledge to help her with this task, so she hired a designer, and together they came up with a little spring-loaded arm that could be operated from inside the car without opening the windows. Really straightforward. I've got a schematic drawing that was part of their patent application here. And you can see just this little lever, and it operates a little spring, and whoop, whoop, there goes the windscreen wiper across the windshield.
What I found really interesting about this story is that it was a passenger that fixed the problem, like regardless of gender, rather than the driver. Like the driver was like, I'm fine. I've got this. I'm sorted.
I've got an arm. It'll be fine. Yeah, maybe she was colder than him. Maybe she was like, why is there a draft?
But he's concentrating. Yeah,
that's it. He's solving the immediate problem of driving safely, and she's like, we can make this better. That's a really good point.
Was it in New York as well? Did I dream?
It was. Yeah, it was in New York. She was from Alabama, where they don't get a lot of snow, you may know. But in that moment, perhaps because it was out of the ordinary for her to see someone driving in a snowstorm, she came up with this solution. She did patent it, hence the schematic drawing. She tried to sell it under license to a Canadian car manufacturer, and they turned her away. They said it was of no value and would distract drivers. It was going to make driving dangerous.
Oh, it's going to make it worse.
It's nuts. God. It snows so much in Canada. I'm like, what are you even thinking? But eventually, unfortunately for her, just after her patent expired in 1920, because it was apparently an 18-year... Alexa's getting involved. I don't know what that's about. Sorry about that. Right. That's a whole other invention angle that we should explore. But anyway, her patent expired. Cadillac, who you may be familiar with, then made windshield wipers standard in all of their vehicles.
They definitely knew that patent
was
going to expire.
Really pisses me off.
They didn't just stumble on it one day.
Like we just happened to decide. Yeah.
They wanted it. They knew they wanted it. They thought it was a great idea, as did the Canadians, I think. I think she was only told no because she was a woman. And then the second it ran out, they were like, great, standard.
Oh, that's
standard.
Super
Not even
gross.
like a luxury. They were like, no, this is a necessity.
That's really infuriating.
Yeah.
She came up with this thing that is still standard safety equipment now, largely unchanged. Basically, the fundamentals. That's kind of still how it works now. She had her own version of a happy ending, I suppose, because she was a switched-on individual and a hardworking person and saw opportunities. She owned and managed an apartment building. She operated a cattle ranch. She had a vineyard over in California. So she didn't profit from the invention, but she at least had satisfaction of knowing she was correct and making her success in other areas.
Yeah. And she's so entrepreneurial, like you said. She had her fingers in so many pies. It might not have affected her in their way. I guess she would still be annoyed, but she's probably like the greater good. I guess.
Be pragmatic. There's nothing I can do about this one. Move on. But yeah, it's a shame that it came to that.
How long was the patent then? 18 years? That's
18 years, apparently, which is really random. But I expect there would have been an opportunity to renew. I don't know how these things worked.
Yeah. And she was like, well, they're saying no, so what's the point?
Nobody wants it. Let it go. And then, hey, presto.
And then actually, they did want it. They just
everywhere.
Didn't want to pay her. Yeah.
Scumbags. So the rest of the inventions that we're going to talk about today had a happier outcome for their inventors. So we've got our anger out good and early. Moving away from the windshield wipers, but still in the same kind of time period, is something I rely on for daily life. And I happened to notice when I got this thing out of the cupboard the other day that literally the version we're about to talk about is the version that I buy. And it has the inventor's picture. Her portrait is drawn on the box. So I've got a little picture of it there. It is the humble paper coffee filter, which apparently around 1908, there was a housewife who was making her coffee, a German lady, and she decided that there had to be a different way because the way that people were brewing coffee in their homes in those days involved putting boiled grounds of coffee in a percolator, which would bubble the coffee up and it would leave it full of grounds and it would be quite bitter and overbrewed. Or they would leave it to sit in a cloth or a linen bag, but that
like
wasn't
a muslin thing.
Like a muslin. It wasn't especially hygienic. It often had old kind of, the word rancid is coming to mind and I'm working hard to avoid it, but old spoiled coffee oils, and that residue would affect the taste. So Melitta, her name is, had this brilliant idea. Name. It is, Melitta. Isn't it? She took a piece of blotting paper from her kid's school notebook and a little brass pot, and she pinpointed a lot of holes into the paper with a little nail, and then she used that to make a kind of coffee filter. But what I you understand how coffee is made. I don't know why I'm explaining this to you, but we take this for granted now.
Yeah.
What I think is super cool is that she did this invention and her husband went, yeah, that's pretty good. And the two of them founded this company right away. They thought, we're going to sell this stuff. They went out with it to trade fairs. They went door to door and sold these things to their neighbors. And they just really organically, slowly believed in their own product and took any humble win that they could get. And here we are 100 years later, and that company she founded is still a family business now. It's still her family and her, not ancestors, what's the opposite of ancestors? Her offspring that run the place now. So delightful.
Happy story.
I thought that was quite cheerful. And the box picture is there with her little face. And I'm like,
and people obviously had the same feeling about her that it was a bit weird tasting and she could make it better, right?
I mean, I'm a passionate coffee person, so I totally get it. If it's not right, why bother? So
and
good
where
for
was
her.
This?
That was in Germany, Dresden. So
see, I wouldn't have thought that was a German invention either. I was thinking Italian, coffee-based places. But
I know it's not I don't think obviously Germany doesn't grow and roast coffee in my head, but it's a massive drinking coffee is a massive part of the culture. So she
this was just before the war, I guess.
Better. Yes,
well, not really, is it? 1908. Oh, World War
sort of in the run up to the World Wars, but her business, and I mean, being based in Dresden, obviously that would have had a significant impact on her. But the company stayed viable through all those times and didn't change hands. That just goes to show the strength of the idea and the faith that people had in her production of it. They come pre-perforated now.
Oh, well.
But the fundamentals are
Lady Cara over there.
Yeah, I insist on pre-perforated coffee filters. What can I say?
Oh, I love that. And I love that her husband was like, yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
Great.
This is a real thing. We're going to do this.
And put her name on it as well, Melitta. Not
Isn't
his
that
name.
delightful?
That's very cool.
That is really, really cool.
We shouldn't be praising that, but it's the world we live in.
But in the time, and in that time especially, a lot of people would have been like, "I've got it from here. Oh, isn't that cute? You had a good idea.
Family
I'll
name.
take that now."
Yeah.
So we are moving on. We're staying within the kitchen, and we are going to talk now about the dishwasher, dishwashing machine. This is, I think, a little bit less charming for reasons that will become clear, but we have a wealthy socialite called Josephine Cochran, and she had lots of lavish dinner parties, and she had the damnedest trouble with her servants chipping her china. So I'm like, yuck, Josephine. But what she turns it around, Vicky, so stick with us, because she kind of saw this problem of dishes being chipped and realized I won't be the only one having this trouble. And especially at banquet halls, hotels, massive restaurants.
And it
this
is
going to be an issue.
Replacing stuff, isn't it?
It is. And if it's something special. So she thought, okay, there has to be a safer way to do this. Other people will want this too. So she had this really clear idea. There must be a machine where you can secure dishes in a rack and spritz them with water until they're clean. And she sort of couldn't believe it didn't exist already because it was so obvious that it would solve the problem. And I guess the quote that she has is that she told her friends, if nobody else is going to invent this dishwashing machine, I'll do it myself. And she did.
To me, it's so like wacky races. You know what I mean? Like, or like those cartoons where like Wallace and Gromit, where it's like an arm that comes out.
Oh, like a Rube Goldberg machine. Yeah, this crazy contraption.
Yeah, well, in my head, that's what it should be.
I kind of think that's how it went down because she herself being, a socialite with no hands-on experience of engineering or building anything or even washing dishes. She didn't even know how to wash dishes.
Isn't that interesting? Yet she was like, this is a need.
Yeah, there's got to be a better way. So she didn't have the insights that would make her able to build that kind of contraption. But what happened was her husband sadly died. And she found herself in debt and thought, this is my Hail Mary. This is the thing that could solve this issue. I have this idea. I'm going to hire a mechanic called George Butters. And George Butters and Josephine went out to the shed behind her house and they built this contraption. They, like you're talking about wacky races, this situation, they got wires and bits of steel and they, like old corsetry. They built this stuff up into racks that would hold her plates. She measured them all, cups, saucers, everything, put that inside of a truck wheel, which then went inside of a copper boiler. And then he hooked it all up to a motor that could turn the wheel while this hot soapy water sprayed up from underneath to get at the dishes. And by the time she raised a patent, there's a photograph here of the device that she came up with.
Oh my God.
It's lovely. It's so decorative and
where does this
Art Nouveau. It comes in from underneath. I think you feed it into a little trapdoor underneath things. So it's just, again, not a million miles away from what we're using today when we use a dishwasher.
Well, I have never owned a dishwasher, Cara. This is new territory for me, dishwasher life. But one thing I have looked into is like countertop dishwashers.
That's what
they work like that. That's what they do. Yeah, you have to hook it up to the tap and whatever.
I can see that shape of one in your kitchen. Actually, that is very elegant.
The time is now.
Suit you.
Yeah,
it's a sign. So, unlike our poor unfortunate inventor of the windshield wiper, Josephine got a patent filed, and her company was successful at both manufacturing and selling the dishwashers, mostly for commercial use at the time. People weren't buying this kind of thing for the home for reasons we'll sort of talk about in a bit. But her company rode that wave of commercial success and carried on into the times when domestic use of appliances like this became prevalent and is now the company we know as KitchenAid. So if you go into their...
I'm sorry, seriously?
Yep. They formed out of a couple of different groups, but her company was one of the founding partners. And so she's listed as a founder in their documentation. So cool. Recognition and success in this case, which is lovely.
And again,
to see.
business minded. She is like, okay, well, I need to leverage other people then. I need to work as a team here.
Absolutely. Cool. There are skills I don't have. I'm going to go out and get them. Keep that in your mind, that spirit of what I can do, what I can't do, being business minded and astute, because we're now moving into a different area entirely with a lady called Sarah Breedlove. That was her born name.
Madam
Is she
Author.
familiar to you?
Right? Yeah. On the list. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. There was a film about her as well recently, I think.
Oh, delightful.
I think
I
so.
did
With
not know that.
who's that lady? Octavia Spencer. I
Oh,
think
how
she
cool.
plays
I
her.
love
Yeah,
her.
yeah. And she's amazing.
Oh, that's a good
Right?
fit. That's a
Yeah.
good fit.
On Netflix, I
So
think.
I'm going to have to check that out. You will know then that Sarah Breedlove was born just shortly after the abolition of slavery in the American states and had a really tough life. She was orphaned super young. She moved in with her sister and was working in cotton fields from childhood. Despite slavery being abolished, these awful work conditions persisted. She ended up marrying when she was 14 to get out of her sister's house because her sister's husband was abusive. It's just a terrible start. Her husband died, so she was widowed super young. She had a tiny baby, a 2-year-old daughter. And between the physical and emotional strain of the life she'd had to that point, she, in common with a lot of African American women, had hair loss and hair damage.
It was stress related.
In her case, that was a factor. In a lot of people's cases, a lack of running water, a paucity of decent products. There was all these chemical factors that were happening with Afro hair, which is already quite sensitive, where women were experiencing hair breakage and hair damage. She ultimately went to work for this company called the Great Wonderful Hair Grower, which was
just so of the time. Like
so of the time.
Can you imagine the fonts,
turn of the century.
Snake oily kind of vibes. Yeah.
I think the thing is, though, it seems like it worked because she used it. It worked for her. She went to work for the company, and the company in of itself was pretty unique because it was founded by a Black owner. And they made a real point of wanting to have a sales team that was comprised of Black women because they were like, you know what works. People will believe you when you say this worked for me. Let's go out there. Already, something really interesting taking place and really, really special taking place. Sarah Breedlove then married a guy called Charles Joseph Walker. And as you said, she rebranded herself to Madam C.J. Walker.
It's genius. It's absolutely
lovely.
Genius. It adds a little bit of je ne sais quoi. It's
specifically je ne sais quoi because it is that like French, European, elegant sounding product name, right?
And CJ, love that. Love that. Rolls off the tongue.
An ad exec. So I think she's gone, interesting.
I'll leverage your brand.
I can zhuzh this up a little bit. And then she divorced him, which,
queen.
Take what you need and leave the rest, is I suppose what's coming in here. But on she went. She decided to found her own product, her own wonderful hair grower, and started up a manufacturer.
She was a competitor of her previous employer.
Yes, I think she found a product that was okay and some principles that she liked, and she thought, I can do more. I can do better. So there's a tin here with a picture of her on the tin. I love it.
It's a lot of detail as well for this.
She's someone who not only is an inventor of a successful product, but who founds an ethical business, which, having a values-driven business, I'm thinking at that point, turn of the century, it's not necessarily the first thing on every new capitalist's mind, but she wants a business to support Black people, specifically Black women, to be independent financially. So she would train and support her sales team. She gave them really generous commissions, which her competitors weren't necessarily doing.
Yeah.
And in the end, the article I read says she hired over 40,000 different African-American employees and built a personal net worth of over $1 million, making her America's first self-made millionairess.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow. She must have sold so many. That's
right. Like how much hair products would it take?
Is she producing?
But it must have been good because people won't keep buying something that doesn't work. So she did the thing. And as she personally profited, she also wanted to share that out. So her philanthropic work, her kind of political work, expanded alongside her. She gave to the YMCA. She paid scholarships for students to go to the Tuskegee Institute, Black students. She supported the NAACP's efforts to end lynchings, which in the wake of slavery was the kind of next most pressing legal matter. She eventually died, but I didn't even know this was a thing. She willed 2/3 of the future profits of her company to the charities that she supported. So even after leaving this planet, 2/3 of her company's profits continued to support her beliefs.
Why don't we do that now? We should do that like today.
It's an incredible and beautiful thing to have done.
Good for her.
So, having taken that little whirl through women inventing
that's an amazing story.
Yeah. I mean, it's so cool that these were women who are on your radar.
Yes,
hopefully able to kind of bring them.
I didn't know too much about them, but you hear stuff, don't you? And you know, especially when you're interested in this kind of stuff anyway. But those details are, and again, so astute, man. So forward thinking sounds so gross, but like
but
it is that, isn't it?
And going
for
it
sounds so LinkedIn, but like
I like to leverage gaps in the market no. Okay, so those were some of the inventions that came up when I was looking at things that women inventors did, and cool women inventors. And
very cool.
Now, a couple of points about inventions that change things for women. The first one that I wanted to land on, which I think probably resonates pretty strongly with both of us because we are both super active, busy, lots of on the go, and the idea of having any kind of loss of independence is something that like makes me come out in a cold sweat. So imagine, if you will, the absolute joy when the bicycle was invented. And
again, there was a world without a bicycle. You forget.
There was a world without a bicycle. There was a world where your options as a woman in the home were to only go places you could walk to safely in crinolines and corsets, or perhaps to be lucky enough, to be wealthy enough to have access to a carriage and horses and to have the permission that it would require to borrow them from your husband to go out into the world, because
it's very Wuthering Heights, isn't it?
Yeah. It's your world would be your home and your whatever that may look like. So I have a quote, Vicky. Do you remember quotes? I've got a quote for you to read. This is American suffragette and social activist Susan B. Anthony speaking about bicycle.
I think the bicycle has done more than emancipate women than any one thing in the world. I rejoice every time I see a woman ride by on a bike. It gives her a feeling of self-reliance and independence the moment she takes her seat, and away she goes. The picture of untrammeled womanhood.
I love it. So
that's
you
nice.
Feel the energy, and that
women
in the way that
women.
These things happen, it kind of begets more changes because bicycles became popular, and that in turn had an impact on fashion. People couldn't easily ride a bicycle with long flowing skirts. It was unsafe. So clothes for women became more comfortable and more practical. Shorter skirts, bloomers, and ultimately modern trousers draw a line directly back to women needing to get from A to B on a bike.
Love.
And then, it's like a virtuous cycle, because then you're free and able to do more in your everyday life. So having
I've never associated it with joy either. Like, of course it's joyful that you get to be free, but you just never, particularly of photographs and imagery at the time, it's all very serious, isn't it? It's all very like,
that was
the
look.
That was the trend, wasn't it? And then actually, of course it's joyful. And of course, like, I rejoice every time I see a woman ride by on a bike. What a happy.
It's just delightful. In keeping with that spirit of the kind of wider social change that comes from seemingly quite small inventions and building on our earlier thoughts about the dishwasher, the washing machine. And we know that until very recent history, and in some places even now, the cleaning of clothing and housework in general is understood to be women's work. So it is so important, and it's essential, obviously, in every life that things get cleaned. It's relentless. It never stops. But it's so time consuming when you're having to do this in a hands-on, unmechanized way. The labor involved, even just in sourcing clean water when running water isn't available, let alone cleaning things, let alone drying them. So with that in mind,
it was gross.
It would have been, it's your whole day, basically. It's just your whole day.
And it's not even that effective. Like,
no.
At the end, it's not what we would call clean.
No, we are
bashed
so
us with a brush and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So along came a man called Alva Fisher in 1908, and he invented the electric washing machine. And as these inventions that made cleaning in the home became more widely available, the impact of that is the whole economy and the workforce tilted on its axis. So I've got a little quote here from an economist from the 1950s, if you're happy to read it.
In 1913, the vacuum cleaner became available. In 1916, it was the washing machine. In 1918, it was the refrigerator. In 1947, the freezer. And in 1973, the microwave was on the market. In 1900, 5% of women had jobs. In 1980, that number had jumped to 51%. These innovations changed the lives of women. Although it wasn't a revolution per se, the arrival of this technology in households had an important impact on the workforce and the economy. I mean, it's true, isn't it? The efficiencies are like off the scale. But yeah, what happened? What drove that innovation period? Because it's intense, like 13, 17, 16, 47, 73. It's not long. So
I think it's a speeded up chain of events that starts with the Industrial Revolution and the availability of products and this wildfire interest in innovation and technology. So things become cheaper and easier and, more possible to build. I'm just looking up the name of something because I want to check I've got it correct. It's, Moore's Law, which is the way that every couple of years you get this doubling of the capacity of technology.
Okay. Moore's
I
Law.
wonder if it's a kind of, I'm probably wildly understating and oversimplifying, but that rapid cascade of inventions that allows things to be built cheaply enough to be purchasable and brought into the home, that allows them to be safe and robust enough for daily use, the materials being available cheaply enough, and so on. It all kind of came about at that same point in the early 1900s into the middle of the 1900s. A phrase I resent saying because it
doesn't it?
Sounds so long ago. But yeah, you get this kind of like absolute incredible beat up timeline of things going from nothing at all to something. And we are living through that in a technological, an electronic,
in a digital way,
sense, in a digital way, and with AI and so on. But they're living with it in a way that allows mechanical advancements. And there are, of course, huge swathes of the world where even these innovations are not so widespread. Indoor plumbing, again, I briefly mentioned it, but that is such a life-changing thing for women in particular. The initiatives in India where safe toilets in a community, safe wash facilities in a community, the difference it makes to people's lives, not having to walk hours to get clean water. It's the women who do that work. And so the impact on them And then the consequent impact on the workforce and the economy is
fascinating.
vast.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have reached the last stop on our tour today, and that is, this one's kind of a twofer because it's an invention that obviously dramatically impacted the lives of women, but it's also an invention that wouldn't have been possible without key women players in the story. So this is the good old birth control pill. And yeah, in the 1960s, as recently as that, after decades of research and unsuccessful attempts, the first effective birth control pills were made available to the public. And they were developed by Dr. Gregory Pincus and Dr. Min-Che Chang from the Institute for Experimental Biology, which sounds so sketch, but they knew what they were doing. So male scientists working on this, but women were also crucial to the advancement. So I've got a quote here.
At the urging of activist Margaret Sanger, heiress Catherine Dexter McCormick provided the critical financial support for this breakthrough research. McCormick was heir to the agricultural equipment company International Harvester Fortune and one of the first women to graduate from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT.
Yeah.
So a lady funded this research off the back of activism. Yeah.
Yes. So the activist in question, Margaret Sanger, is somebody I definitely think we should cover in the future.
Oh, yeah.
She's so interesting, super, super cool. But in short, she was born at a time when contraceptives in America were criminalized. So she saw the social consequences of that, both personally and in her society. And she went, this is wrong. This is wrong. And she spent her entire life in the pursuit of legalizing birth control and making it universally available. So when she found this science-minded heiress who'd been to MIT, obviously was quite switched on herself and rich as Methuselah, she said, let's do something. Let's fund this unpromising project at the Experimental Biology Institute, because birth control pills, for all sorts of biochemical reasons, are actually quite difficult to make. Your stomach does not want those chemicals and will destroy them before they could ever be effective. So they pushed it forward and the efforts work. I was reading this article and it said the kind of ubiquity and importance of the birth control pill is clear when you realize that if I say to you, the pill, you don't think, oh, which pill? You know, everyone knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
so strong. Yeah.
It's so strong. And the sort of social impact of that, taking people out of the health and social consequences of unwanted pregnancies, driving the sexual revolution and feminism, and spurring the ability of women to take work roles outside the home, because much like divesting them to technology of the tasks of maintaining the home, we are now taking women out of the de facto obligation to raise an entire troop of children unless they wanted to.
How do I word this carefully? I think there's a lot more opportunities for the billionaires that we have today to be doing more things like this. If you have billions of dollars, Taylor Swift, Kylie Jenner, Beyonce, whoever you are, like, I hope to God you're funding some of this stuff and you're not talking about it. I think that's what's happening. Because like you said, that has just gone, the funnel just went so wide there with the social life-changing impact, because that woman was like, all right, you can have my money.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to freedom, isn't it? Is finance, because it is then what you do with the finance. Like, it's so like, oh God, it's mind-blowing, the ripple effect of society, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is. And in some ways,
I hope they're doing some stuff like that and they're just not saying it.
The bar is comparatively quite low, because we are not talking about necessarily needing the innovation of a biochemical delivery mechanism for hormones that are easily destroyed in the stomach. We're talking get running water into houses in countries where that isn't the norm. Like, this isn't you don't even have to innovate right now. You just have to
Yeah.
invest. So yeah, I
It's
so
that thing with
hear what
Elon
you're
Musk,
saying.
wasn't it? That he was like, if someone gave me plans to solve world hunger, I'd fund it. And then the World Health Organization was like, here you go. And then
Yeah.
he never did anything. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So
But it is amazing. Let's not dampen Margaret and
no,
Catherine.
we're gonna
Did fabulous stuff.
We're gonna end on a bit of a high. I mean, we could fill an entire season of podcasts with innovations and investment.
Like innovations is such a masculine invention. Sorry, is such a masculine phrase, and it's not, is it? To me, it feels very masculine.
It's the association that you've got,
Yeah,
and
it can be
it
feminine.
really isn't. And I think that's so important, because all it takes really is seeing something and thinking, oh, like Mary Anderson sat on that streetcar and thinking, oh, that's not very good. We could do better.
We can do better.
We can do better. And that isn't a masculine urge. That is something we all experience every day. And a lot of inventions, like the rubberized outer pant of a baby diaper, just came about because a woman went, oh, this sucks. What could be better? And this is why those initiatives to make sure that hiring in, say, tech companies is, equally distributed, because we don't all have the same view of the world. Obviously, we see different gaps, but we do share in common with lots of other people the perspective that we ourselves have. So those innovations do not come about unless everyone's at the table in the planning phases. It's so important.
And I'm like, what can we invent? We should be inventing something.
Yeah, we gotta get on this. If you're considering invention as a future enterprise, let's end on a quote here to give you a bit of a shot in the arm. And this is from an inventor who we're all super fond of these days after the Barbie movie. It's Ruth Handler, the founder of Mattel. So would you close us out?
It was in the Barbie movie, or was her daughter in the Barbie? There's some cameo.
Her character is at the very end, I think. That's a little spoiler. If you haven't seen it yet, sorry about that.
Spoiler. For heaven's sake. It's been 3 years. Okay. Don't be afraid of hard work. Nothing worthwhile comes easily. Don't let others discourage you or tell you that you can't do it. Yes, Ruth. Yes.
Yeah. You can. She did. We will.
People have. Yeah, this is the social proof, isn't it? People definitely have made an impact on the world. Oh, okay. I feel quite fiery. What are we going to do?
Let's go.
Where are we going to put this energy?
Spot things that are a bit just not quite good enough and sort them out.
Sort it.
File like 6 patents by the end of the week. We'll be on it.
Thank you. Oh, I loved it. Amazing.
Nice one, Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of She Changed History. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Find us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you've got any ideas of women you'd like us to cover in a future episode, please comment on the socials or email us at shechangedhistory@gmail.com. Catch you next time.